Alright guys, so today in this video we're going to be breaking down the exact funnel that allowed us to scale our own roof cleaning business to well over 6 figures a year in annual revenue, and that's now allowing us to scale multiple other exterior cleaning companies well beyond the 6 figure a year rate all through this funnel. So it's going to be a bit of an in-depth one. It's not going to be a fancy, highly edited video that triggers your dopamine receptors, and it's this highly engaging, highly flashy video. So bear with, watch it. It's going to be a very value-packed, intensive video. And we're literally going to walk you through the whole system, explain how we're scaling roof cleaning companies in the UK at the minute, where they don't actually have to go out and quote jobs. They don't have to chase leads. And really, I'll break down the problem in a second, but why a lot of these roof cleaners are finally breaking through the ceiling they were at, because they no longer have to, like I said, chase leads, quote jobs, spend time quoting and basically trying to win business. They just spend all of their time cleaning roofs. So my name's Freddie. Myself and Callum have scaled our own exterior cleaning business, like I said, and now we help other roof cleaners and exterior cleaners scale their business through ads and outsourced sales teams. And as you can see here on my screen, I put together the whole funnel really that we use at the minute. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you how it's working for other companies, and hopefully you get a ton of value from this video. And just to show you guys a bit of proof here that we do what we say we do, you can see a couple of messages over here on the side. First job confirmed, £750 roof, £300 soft wash, and £300 pressure wash driveway. That's $1,350 in their first lead that they generated. So they came on board, they had their first lead come through the funnel, and they didn't just get the roof clean. You know, this is something that we help guys with, but increasing their LTV and the actual total value of their leads through upsells and cross sells, etc. down here. But he managed to turn a £750 roof clean into a £1,350 full exterior clean. And you can see down here, 15k in 5 weeks, or almost 16k. Total jobs won to date, 11k. And you can see here, we only spent 600 on the ads. Imagine a business where you can spend £600 and just turn it into £11,600. You know, that's pretty wild. That's almost a 20x ROAS. Like, if I gave you a vending machine that spat out £20 for every pound coin you put in, how long are you going to spend sat at the vending machine putting every pound coin you have into that? So this is the goal. We want to build you a machine that you can essentially put money in and consistently get money out of that. You can see here again, 7k worth of work booked in and 10k quoted, not even their first month. You can see quite a few different messages here of people booking in. There's actually showcasing the system. And you can see here, put the ad spend up. They'd spend £122, turned that into £2,000 worth of gutter jobs. Again, almost a 20x ROAS on that. So that's the goal. Now let's jump into the system and show you kind of how this all works. And as you can see here, this is kind of like a funnel. It's kind of shaped in the shape of a funnel, because that's really what this is. But before we jump into the top here and kind of show you what goes into the funnel, you know, I want to start down here at the bottom of the funnel, because really this is the most important part. Because if we don't have the bottom of the funnel, the fundamentals of the business, you know, once the jobs are coming in, and essentially your service delivery as a whole, if we don't have this dialed in, the whole funnel crumbles. You know, as soon as we start pushing everything through the top of the funnel, the bottom crumbles and it breaks. we start scaling, when you don't have the right systems in place to clean and fulfill on these jobs, the business breaks. You get bad reviews, you get unhappy customers, and that's not what we're here for. We're not here to get your business off the ground. We're not here to scale you from an idea. We're here to take people who have already got cleans under their belt. They've already got a roof cleaning business, an exterior cleaning business, and they're stuck. But the one thing they can do is they can clean roofs. They can clean windows and gutters, and they can offer a really strong service. And the one problem in their business is they can't get in front of enough people. They can't get enough jobs on the calendar. But when they do get those jobs, they're good. Because, and this is a really fundamental way of looking at business, is the wider the base, the wider the foundations that we build in business, the taller we can grow. If we build a really narrow base to the business, we don't really have much experience. We don't have many reviews. We can't offer the best service or even just like a strong service. When we try and scale, we're only going to get so far before everything breaks. Imagine a pyramid. You build it this wide, you can only go this high. But if we build it this wide, think how much higher we can stack the business and scale it upwards before it starts being out of proportion and breaking. So that's the first thing is, before you even think about speaking to us or using a system like this and scaling the business, you need to have the fundamentals in place. You need to be able to clean efficiently. You need to have some good reviews. You need to be off the ground essentially and have proof of concept. Because without that, it's going to be extremely hard to scale. So that's the bottom of the funnel. We need to have a good foundation, and I can dive more deeply into, how we start turning jobs into more jobs through referral programs, etc. How we can upsell, downsell, cross-sell leads to maximize the juice of the leads instead of just selling them on one service, and how to retain clients, increase like service plans, etc. to get recurring income. And we'll have other videos on the page breaking down these in more depth. Like I said, we're giving everything away for free. But as long as we've got the fundamentals in place, then we can start looking at how we can scale the business. If we come up to the top here, what I want to focus on is the kind of top two parts here for now. So the way this starts is we need people coming into the top of the funnel. We need new attention. We need people to see us. And the way we do this is predominantly through ads. And then you can kind of add reels and content on YouTube, etc. to attract new audiences. But organic content takes a long time. So we predominantly focus on ads here. The reason is because we can target the exact types of people in the exact types of locations that you want to work with. And so we utilize the top of funnel to attract a cold audience of people who don't necessarily know you yet. They might think they want a roof clean. They might think their roof's dirty, but not necessarily sure on whether they're going to get it scraped or they're going to get it steam cleaned or pressure washed. They're just not sure on the solution, but their pain point's there. But essentially, the crux of this is we're bringing in cold traffic into our sphere of business. If you imagine your business is a funnel, we need to start putting as many people through the top at new attention into this funnel as possible. Now, once we start getting leads, we're getting the attention, people are seeing the brand, they're opting in, they're giving us their details. What we need to ensure is we're actually building enough trust for them to work with us, to book in for a job. Now, the issue that most roof cleaners face is, and I hear a lot of the time, I've tried ads in the past, I've ran ads, Facebook ads don't work, Google ads don't work, I don't want to run ads, they're risky, they're expensive, whatnot. The issue is because a lot of roof cleaners, for example, they'll run ads and they'll turn the ads on and they'll generate the attention and the lead flow. And then what happens is a lead comes in at 2:00 in the afternoon and you're standing on a scaffolding with a really long pole in your arms, cleaning a roof. Now, what are the chances are that you get to that lead in a timely manner, to call them up and give them a quotation over the phone, or book them in for an in-person quotation, because realistically you won't be able to quote the job over the phone without pulling up Google Maps and looking at the property or looking at photos that they send you. And so you lose out on the lead, because the way Facebook works and the way Meta works and all these advertising platforms is, once someone clicks on your ad and they opt in, they start seeing everyone else in your local area's ads, which means this part of the funnel is ever more important, because if they opt into your ad and you don't get back to them quickly enough and attempt to call them enough, they're going to go find someone else's. They're going to see another ad. They're going to click in for that one. That person's going to call them, or someone with a system like we've got here, or one of our partners, we're going to call them up and we're going to give them that quotation they're looking for, and we're going to book them in for a job. And so by the time you finished your work for the day, you've got home, you've taken care of the kids, you've put them to bed, you've gone to the gym, and you sit down on the sofa or behind the computer and you finally get around to calling this lead at 8:30 in the evening, they've already spoken to someone else and gone with someone else, or they're not interested anymore. And so we need to make sure that the middle of funnel is as dialed in as possible, because it's not just good enough anymore to just run ads and generate leads. And you might convert one, but converting one out of the 40 leads that you get is the difference between turning £100 into £2,000, or turning £600 into £11,000, and turning, a couple £100 into a high couple £100, and making a 3x on your ads, which is what you might have seen when you've run ads before. So moving on to the middle of funnel, what we do once the leads are coming in, we need to basically build trust. We need to actually give them what they've signed up for, which is the quote for their property, and position you guys and your company in a way where they are seeing everyone else here in this bubble of every other exterior cleaner that they're looking for quotes, and you guys in a completely different ocean. You need to position yourself completely differently, so that when they're comparing the quotes, they go, do you know what? No one else actually sent all that job material. No one else sent over that content. I didn't have a visual from any of the other companies of what the job process looks like. And that company, they actually did. And I kept seeing them because they were running retargeting ads. And these guys clearly just do it much better. And they start to trust you a lot more when you do things like this and do it properly in the middle of funnel, compared to every other roof cleaning company or window cleaning company that they're speaking to. And so what we're doing here is we're starting to warm these leads up and pull them away from a lead that doesn't know you and doesn't trust you, now to a lead that knows you, trusts you as a company to do the job. They just really need to be converted into an actual booked job, and for them to say, yes, I want to book in. Essentially, as you can see here, I've had all the quotes back. I've also taken into account reviews and other info I have found, and we're ready to move forward. Could you confirm earliest availability? Okay, please book me in for the 2nd of October. Okay, I'm fully content. Do you guys work on weekends? September, please. What's the first available date you have? Hi, Callum. Thank you for your patience. Please, can we go ahead? That's where we start getting these conversions. The pain that we found with a lot of exterior cleaners is because they can't get in touch with these leads and quote these leads and scale, because they're too busy doing, the cleaning. If we imagine, right, as a business, we have a set amount of time. You as the business owner have a set amount of time in every day that you can do things. We can spend, say, 60% of your day cleaning, and then the other 40% of your day is spent trying to win business. Now, that caps you at 60% jobs. Imagine, say, in a week you can clean 5 jobs. 60% of that, say you're looking at 3-4 jobs a week total capacity, because you're spending the other time trying to win jobs, reaching out to referrals, door knocking if you really have to, dropping leaflets, etc. Or you can spend all of your time cleaning roofs, where, say, you're now doing 5, 6, 7 roofs if it's just one team, or you have multiple vans on the road, multiple teams, and you're doing, 10, 15 jobs a week. You're spending all your time cleaning because you have a system in place that brings in these jobs on autopilot. You don't have to do anything to get the jobs. It allows you to increase your capacity to then scale, bring in team members, bring in other cleaners so that you can have guys on the roof cleaning, you can manage those guys, and you can start working on the business, working out and actually steering the ship on where are we going to go this year? How are we going to scale? Do we want to get another van and another team on the road? And can we increase ad spend and content production so that we can start increasing even more jobs coming through the pipeline? Instead of running around every day, cleaning, you don't know where the next roof clean's going to come. You know, you're a week booked in advance and you never actually sit down and push the business in the direction that you want it to go, which is why you never get out of the plateau or the ceiling that you're capped at, because you don't ever spend that time thinking about growing the business and having a system in place that brings you consistent and predictable jobs. So you may be wondering, you know, how are we actually turning these into booked jobs? Well, because we've had our own roof cleaning and exterior cleaning business, we know how to quote jobs. We know the price of roofs. We know how much it costs to clean a roof, for example. And so we have an internal sales team that are trained up on quoting roofs. And so when these leads are coming in, they're not only getting the job material and the retargeting ads and the content, the sales letter, etc., breaking down the job and why they actually need it, because some people may not be pain aware. We're then getting on the phone with these people straight away and calling them and speaking to them and walking them through the quote, which in turn allows us to actually book you booked jobs who have already been quoted. They've already agreed the price. They now just want you to turn up and clean. And so they go through our exterior sales team, they're speaking to them, they're quoting them, they're sending that quote over to them, as well as continuing to send job material, reviews, screenshots of past cleans, etc. You know, I'm literally giving you this all for free, and I probably shouldn't be putting all this on YouTube, but hey, we want to help as many people as possible. In turn, we start getting clients, like I showed you over here, all of these countless messages of people booking in over text and over the phone, where we then send the client the job. And so, again, putting yourself in that situation as the cleaner and the business owner, you now get consistent and predictable booked jobs in the diary, and all you have to do is go and clean them, or your team go and clean them, which takes you out of the stress of not knowing where jobs are coming from, and it puts you into a position where you can actually start growing the business and looking at ways to implement referral programs, upsells, downsells, retention packages, so that you can scale the amount clients pay you, which gives you even more money to reinvest back into ads in the top of funnel and grow and look at hiring better cleaners so that you can get better guys in the team, more motivated guys on the team. You can get that new van and that new equipment that you've been wanting to get, and actually start looking at how we're going to grow the business and reach the goals that you have in mind. So that's the funnel. It's pretty basic. You can see over here, I've really broken it down into the three main steps, where we've got traffic at the top of funnel. They're cold. They don't know who you are. We've got the middle of funnel. They're now a lead. They've opted in. They know who the business is. And we basically need to warm them up and convince them and show them that you are the company that they need to work with. And then the conversion process. So delegating this out to a team like our exterior sales team is that we convert the jobs for you so that you can just focus on cleaning roofs. They become a client, then that all loops back around. As you can see up here, the revenue, you reinvest that back into ads. You know, for an example here, we spend £600, we generate £11,000 in job revenue, and then we take £1,200 and we put that back in and we make £20,000 in job revenue. Like, ads are as simple as that when you have the system and the funnel in place like this to make it that profitable. No, I almost think of it like client financed acquisition, taken from a guy called Alex Hormozy, where we run ads for a week. We spend, say, £50 a day on ads for a week. That's £300. That may seem a lot to some of you, but when you spend the £300 and you get 2 jobs booking off of that £300, as you can see here, that's quite a conservative number. If you know, with those numbers, you'd be looking at like £5,000 worth of jobs booking, £6,000 worth of jobs booking. But say, let's go on the conservative side. 2 jobs booking, 3 jobs booking. we now have a pot of cash where, let's call them £1,000 roofs. That's £3,000. We've spent £300, we've made £3,000 back. We can now spend £300 of that £3,000 to run more ads and get another £3,000. But that £3,000, that £300 the second week isn't your money. It's from the client's money from the first 3 jobs. And so then you forever use client money to pay for your ads, to get more jobs. It's so simple. And so you really only risk £300 in the first week to get the first handful of jobs, and then the clients pay for the rest of your jobs. Like, it's crazy, but if you can get your mind to switch out of, I need to spend thousands of pounds a month, every month, and I keep needing to spend money in ads, and it's scary and it's risky. But if you can pull your mind out of the scarcity that it's in, and you can look at, I just need to risk a couple £100 in the first week to run ads, to get a handful of jobs, which will pay for next week's ads. And then next week, we run a load of ads, paid for from the clients from the first week, and then that brings in more jobs. And then you can use that money to run the week after. And then you now forever have a system that's paid for by your clients. And you never have to risk a pound or a penny on ad spend again. It's that simple. And it's why clients can spend £600 and make £11,000 back. And then they could spend £2,000 next month. And we've got clients spending over £100 a day on ads because it's that predictable and it's that scalable that they just put money in and they get money out and they scale to where they want to be in business. You just have to get over that initial hump and that initial risk factor. Now, I'm going to show you why most roof cleaners and most exterior cleaners stay stuck. So we've got down here your beginners. You know, this is what I was talking about with the bottom of the funnel, and you need to have a wide base. But you may be lost, you may be confused. A lot of beginners coming into business, they're going to have a broke mindset. They're not going to really be aware of how to utilize money to make money. They're doing cold outreach, you know, knocking doors, dropping leaflets, cold calling, and they're afraid to invest. You know, you might have spent quite a lot of money already on your equipment, and you're afraid to put more money in onto ads to scale the business. Your poorly positioned offer, you know, you're seen in a red market full of every other exterior cleaner going. You know, it's becoming a very popular business to have nowadays, and it's becoming harder to stand out. They're bad at sales, and so the conversion rates are dropping. They don't call leads quick enough. They don't call leads enough. They convert at a lower percentage, and it means that their money in isn't being as effectively utilized to get more money out, and so they get less money out. They got imposter syndrome. They don't actually see themselves as a business owner. Now, moving on, this is where we can come in and help these guys. Again, like I said here, you need to get roofs under your belt. You need to get cleans under your belt. You need to know how to work with clients, how to get good reviews and do a good job first. Then, once we've gotten to that point where we're doing 5, 10, 15, 20k a month, we've got proof of concept with a business. You know, the business isn't an idea anymore. We're doing a couple of jobs, a handful of jobs a week. There's proof. You have somewhat of a business, but you're kind of still a freelancer. Chances are you're still doing the cleaning as well. You have an unscalable offer because you're cleaning all the time and you can't do anything else to grow the business. You've got low price jobs, sub 800, depending on areas, obviously, but you're not utilizing ways to squeeze more money out of the leads and the jobs that you're currently getting. Your marketing is mainly word of mouth. You're not great at sales. Like I said, you're a one-man operation. You might have someone helping you on the roofs. But again, you're a glorified freelance cleaner. You're spinning tires. You're stuck. Weeks are inconsistent, unstable, unpredictable. You're booked out maybe a week in advance. And you're sitting there probably watching this video going, like, where are my jobs coming from? And you don't know. And it sucks. You know, I empathize with you. We've been there. We know how it feels. It's painful. But we need to break out of being that freelance cleaner and staying stuck and not really having a consistent way to grow the business and a offer that positions us completely different to everyone else in the market, a system that brings us jobs consistently, that allows us to scale up past 30, 40, 50 grand a month, where we've got multiple teams on the road, multiple vans. We're squeezing more out of our jobs than we were previously, which allows us to, again, spend more money because we're making more per job. We can put that back into ads. We're more profitable. We've got a scalable delivery. You've got systems in place. You've got SOPs and instructions for your team to follow so that they can work without you having to watch them all the time. You're getting your jobs through paid traffic, which is consistent. You have an audience and a bit of a platform now. The business is starting to be consistent and predictable. You're booked out 4 weeks in advance, 5-6 weeks in advance. You've got breathing room to, as a business owner, to start actually not only enjoying the fruits of your labor and the fruits of your hard work, but actually being able to think, how can we grow the business? How can we take it to the next level? What do I actually want out of the business? Like, what are my personal goals? What do I want this to achieve? And then structuring and growing the business to achieve that. Like I said, we're now a business owner over an operator and a freelancer. We got lots of profit. We're way more profitable now because, again, we're squeezing more money out of the jobs. We got happy clients. We got a happy team. Your team have the ability to earn more. You should see your business as a vehicle for your team to achieve and grow towards what they want to achieve within your business. Like, it's your duty as a business owner to be able to do that. Like, if you're just running a business where you get most of the profit and your team are just churning and you're having to hire new guys every month because they can't achieve and grow within the business because you're stuck down here and the one guy you're working with keeps changing every month because they're not happy and they can earn some money but they get a different opportunity and then they leave. It's your duty as an entrepreneur and a business owner, which you need to see yourself as, is to build a business big enough and grow it to a point where your team can achieve what they want to achieve and their career goals within your business. Because when you can do that, you start building a really reliable team. You can trust them. They're self-starters. They go and do the work without you chasing them, which allows you to in turn be the business owner and a happy business owner and enjoy running the business. You're not chasing new team members all the time. You got a team that stay with you for years on years. And so you need to be able to shift into this, but we only do this through predictable systems. You need a system that gives you predictable jobs and that pulls you out of client acquisition. Because when you can do that, you have the time to spend figuring out how to do everything else to make jobs more profitable, to start reinvesting back into content so that your middle of funnel is even stronger, to work and train your team better and build out systems for them to follow. Everything starts happening when you can have predictable work that isn't attached to your time inputs. Okay? And that's how you get guys up here pulling in 16k in their first 5 weeks, turning £600 into 11k. You can see all of these reviews dotted around here. You can go search us up on Trustpilot. There's a reason why we've got, I think, over 25 or 35 star reviews now. No one can do this as good as we do. Okay? And so you need to detach out of this mindset of being a freelancer and start thinking like a business owner, right? And when you do that, you start having a business where you're getting messages coming in. Yes, please. I'm still looking for a quote. Thanks for your time earlier. Just following up to confirm we'd like to go ahead. Like, imagine you're getting these messages coming in. Like, I can zoom out and show you. These are just less than 1% of the messages across all of our accounts that we manage for our partners. Imagine these messages coming through on a daily basis whilst you're cleaning and working the jobs. Okay? So, you may be wondering what you do now that you've seen the pathway to success and how to actually achieve it and where you're going wrong and why you're staying stuck. So I'm going to break it down for you. You have two paths from here. We got path A and path B. I know this because I've spoken to hundreds of roof cleaners at this point and I've been in your shoes. I've invested thousands into our own business, tens of thousands into our own business, and it's uncomfortable, right? You're probably sat there going, I've tried ads in the past. I know it didn't work last time. This is a risk. And changing the way you do things, investing in the business is going to be uncomfortable. Change is always uncomfortable. But you're looking for outsized reward, right? You're wanting a business and the benefits of having a business that most people never achieve. That doesn't come with comfort. If it came with comfort, everyone would have it and no one would actually want the outcomes that this business owner gets. But when we face uncomfortability and we do the things that we know we need to do that are proven to get people like us to where we want to go, then we get those outcomes and we're rewarded for that. So we got path A, which in the short term, we stay happy, we stay comfortable, we don't take that risk, we just continue doing what we've always done, and we don't change. Sure, we stay happy and we don't encounter the pain of change in the short term, and that's okay. That's fine. I'm not here to push anyone to do anything they don't want to do, but I want to show you at least the options and the pathways and the outcomes that come from either decision. Because in the long term, we stay the same. You know, you might have been thinking about growing the business or wanting to grow the business for a few months now, 6 months, 12 months. Like I said, I've had these conversations so many times in the past, and I've spoken to people who have come to me saying they need to grow and they need to build the business and they need to do something to change. And they don't. It gets uncomfortable when it's, you know, time to make that decision and go, do you know what, I'm going to commit and do something to change. They don't. And I've spoken to them 6, 12 months down the road and they're in the exact same position. And in the long term, it's painful. You know, you see people who were at the same level you were at last year, who are now crushing it. They're doing double, triple, 4, 5 times the amount you're doing now. And that's when it's painful. And I don't want that for anyone, which is why I'm showing you this today, because I don't like seeing other business owners in this position where they come back to us 12 months' time and they didn't take that risk or that jump, that leap of faith. And they might be in even worse of a position. Competition gets harder, the market's more saturated, cost of everything's gone up, so you're less profitable, and you're still doing the same amount of work. Maybe less. Who knows? Path 2, path B. Short term, we get uncomfortable. It's painful. I've been in those shoes where I've spent over £10,000 in mentors, coaching, advertising for our own business. Trust me, it's scary. It's never not going to be scary. I've spoken to the teams and the companies who do millions of revenue a year, and it's still scary for them to change. Change will always be scary, but they know where they're at. They know they're here. They know what they need to do to get here. And despite how uncomfortable it is to get here and to make that decision to do the things necessary to get to where they want to be, they make the decision anyway. And they go, do you know what? It's going to be painful. It's going to be uncomfortable. But I know in 6 months' time, if I do the right things, I bet on myself, and I turn up every day and do what I know I need to do to win, they know that in the long run, it's a lot more pleasant of a scenario to be in, where they sit down in 6, 12 months' time, 2 years' time, 5 years' time, and they are that business owner. They've got 4, 5, 10 vans on the road. They've got teams in place that they don't have to micromanage every hour. They've got consistent business coming in where they're no longer chasing the work each week, but they have a pipeline of opportunities and a calendar full of booked jobs every month. And business is on the whole good. Things are looking up. But they only get that reward from taking that step, taking that leap of faith, and deciding to bet on themselves in the business and do what's necessary to make that change. So that's the system. As you can see here, we got a whole lot of reviews and proof of what we say we do works. If you feel like you got a lot of value from this. It makes sense, and you're kind of here, and you can see it. Your business is kind of displaying these symptoms, and you want to be here next year. You want to be sat down in 12 months' time, knowing you've done everything possible. You lay your head down on that pillow at night, and you know that you've done what you need to do to get yourself there. And you want to bite that bullet, that short-term pain, to grow. You'll be able to find the link below this video to book a call in with either me or Callum, where we can answer any questions and go through this system in a little bit more in depth. But it's not a sales call. It's an enrollment call. Come ready to sign up. We don't like wasting our time with people who are going to half-ass it because they just don't get the results that we want to be able to get you. And so if you're ready to take that leap of faith, then we'd love to speak to you. We'd love to work with you. If you're not ready just yet, you still need to convince yourself that this is the route to take and this is the pathway that's going to get you there. Then find our Instagram below or somewhere on this video and go to our stories with our client wins and just click through them. There's so many on there that you will start having a sore thumb just from clicking through them so many times. But go through there and see what the rest of our clients are saying about this program and about the system here. And once you've seen enough where you go, that makes sense, I want to do this, drop us a message on Instagram. We'll book in a call and we'll get you rocking and rolling. But until then, keep watching our content. I hope it helps. And I'll see those of you who do take action on the other side. Peace.